Greetings from the galaxy far, far away. This is the Legacy of Star Wars podcast brought to you by Fandom Empire. I'm your host, Johnny. It's a pleasure to be here with you whenever you're listening to this episode. Well, as usual, it's a Tuesday night, and you know what that means? Of course, obviously, if you see the graphics, you know that what we were originally scheduled to do our Return of the Jedi watch along, we're not doing that tonight. We're going to be doing that next week. As well, Randy, you have some explaining to do. Why are we not doing Return of the Jedi tonight, Randy?
Do you
I'm just going to go Han Solo here and go, it's not my fault.
Oh, you shouldn't have. You just weaponized me, man. You shouldn't have done that. Oh man, seriously though, I'm sitting there doing the show notes today. I know Johnny hasn't even got to me yet, but and just like, oh my god, I'm like, because I was unplugged yesterday, so anything that came down yesterday, really even on Sunday, and some of it is from Sunday, just wasn't plugged into, and I'm looking at it all, but most of it from today. And I'm just like, do you see how long the holonet is, Randy?
It's very true. Yesterday we were sitting there, we were just sort of having our brief pre-production notes and discussions, and it was more of a, we're sort of on pace. We might be able to maybe, possibly, and then today happened. It's like, you know what? No, we're just next week, and then it just kept coming and kept coming and kept coming, and now here we are. What was originally supposed to be a condensed short, well, hopefully we'll keep it that way ish.
Yeah, I think the goal's an hour show tonight, so I'd like to be off in around that time.
We're just gonna jam pack that hour full of all sorts of stuff.
We're gonna try. Yeah.
All right, let's finish up with these introductions. Obviously, you've heard both their voices, but joining me on... Wait, hold on. Let's see if I can do this appropriately. On this side, Randy, I'm not going to ask how you're doing because you jinxed us. So, welcome. And on my other side, because, you know, that's just the way inverse images work. Sean, how are we doing?
Wow, I don't know, you know... So, fun fact, I recently listened to one of the early episodes of Star Wars Wastelands from back in 2015. And for whatever reason, I thought you were about to call me Sage there. And
it has almost happened a few times.
It would have felt so good because it's been so long, but this probably isn't the show to ask this. Should I not refer to you as that other name that you used to go by for years now? Like, is that name tarnished? Like, I'm not kidding. Like, look, okay, so Johnny used to go by the I don't want to get too far into this, but Johnny's nickname for the longest time was McMahon. You know, I was about to give you information, but I won't. And so, like, it just became natural, like, to a point we were being person calling each other Sage and McMahon.
A reminder for those of us who haven't paid attention, we've known each other for 30 years. So, you know, we've, at this point, close to half of this.
Yeah, half.
We've been going with the nicknames. That's half. You know, I mean, let's put it this way: I'm not giving Microsoft any money to change my tag, so it's still that, and it will stay that.
Okay.
So,
Microsoft. No Microsoft sponsor for us. Who was it last week? Was it Samsung? Has that sponsorship come through yet?
It hasn't yet. I'd like to say we're dotting the T's and crossing the I's, but I'm still praying that they get back to us and don't just drop us on red. But you know, that's the business. But no, seriously though, I haven't changed it. I don't plan to change it because at this point, it's, you know,
you're still Johnny McMahon to me. No relation to that other prick.
I will, however, now adamantly be telling anyone who thinks I'm actually Vince that I'm not him. You know, whereas once that was a badge of, you know, sure, you think I'm him? Great. That's like, no, I'm not. But that's another conversation for another show. All right. Let's get down to the business of the day, and that is, of course, the usual business. If you enjoy the stuff, if you enjoy our content, if you like us, if you want to see more of us, click the like button, click the subscribe button, / the notification bell, and check out all the other offerings here on the channel, including but not limited to Tonight in Haddonfield on Monday nights, special episode tomorrow night with special guest, no less. So check that out if you're into the shenanigans of Haddonfield and Halloween. Welcome to the Geek Side Wednesday nights after Dynamite. And of course, as always, check out the other pop-up shows that happen on the channel intermittently, including but not limited to whatever games Sean happens to decide he wants to stream. Right now, it's episode 1. So check that out when it pops up on the channel.
Fuck that game. Let me tell you something. Holy
Wow.
shit. I was so excited to play that game. I was like, yeah, it's going to feel like 1999 again. The game that I played endlessly for like a year. Let me tell you, I now understand why I played it for a year. Fucking 11-year-old Sean probably broke 10 controllers trying to beat that shit. I had my 4-year-old laughing at me because I kept falling down the waterfall and getting eaten by the fucking sharks. It's on stream. Go check it for yourself. You hear him fucking laughing his ass off in the background. Meanwhile, I can't get up out of the water and onto the little fucking deck thing. Yeah. Good night.
It's moments like this why we never hit our timelines.
Come on, Sean. Tell me how you really feel.
Oh, good grief. Good grief.
I started talking there just to say the other day on the stream, I had a couple of guys like basically competing against one another to determine what Star Wars game I would play next after I'm done Phantom Menace. And I quickly forgot about that because then the next 45 minutes was me epically failing my ass across Naboo, which I still haven't gotten through.
So if you enjoy watching Sean fail, check out that last episode 1 stream. I just might, just to see him fail. Honestly, granted, I experienced it the first time occasionally in person, so I know this experience. Only now it's almost 20 years later, and he still hasn't gotten better. All right. Of course, you can also check out other content offerings, including launching in the near future. Do we have a date yet? No? All right. So still no date for the Legacy of Smallville Watch Along podcast featuring Sean and Jade. Just keep your eyes and ears open for that one here and on the socials. And, well, as soon as we're ready to tell you when it's going to be, we'll tell you when it's going to be. And, of course, if you like us, if you want to do it, if you want to help us out on another level, you can head on over to our Patreon platform, patreon.com/Fandom Empire, where I believe you've got a new Halloween-centric Patreon show debuting.
Yeah, so the goal is to provide Patreon content for all of our shows, and I'll be upfront with our viewers and say that Johnny, Randy, and I have not come to a conclusion yet on what we're going to do once a month for this show. We talked about it briefly a little while ago, but there still isn't a set date on it. But what we do have is a listing of our new Patreon content. Patreon's been revamped with different tiers. We still have the super expensive Legacy tier. Well, it's been renamed the Legacy tier, which basically is entry-level sponsorship onto all the channels, and we'll advertise your stuff, and you also get a bunch of perks that go with it. The classic Lambkin Lane $13 tier is still there, where we talk about Halloween scoops and rumors and leaks and all that sort of good shit as it comes out. And as you know, there's a movie and a series currently in pre-production, so there's a lot happening over there right now. But we just added, basically, it's kind of like our entry level, if you're a Halloween fan, the Cult of Thorn Patreon show, which we use to go back and look at past Halloween lore, lost sequels, previous movies. But you will be able to get additional Star Wars and Smallville content on our Patreon at the lowest level $2 tier when you sign up. We're not saying we know what that is yet, but it is coming.
And it'll probably be us post-show continuing conversations that we just couldn't have on
doing the Ric Flair
show.
Elbow drop on the freaking Phantom Menace PS1 disc.
Well, now I know what to get you for Christmas.
All right. Well, that's it for the general opening. How do you do? Hi, hello, how are you? Segment. We'll come back. We do have our multiple choice-esque question this week. It's a yes or no question, but we'll come back to that in a little bit since it is topical to a topic we have. And I'm just going to start with that one because it's it doesn't feel right to not start with that one. And that is the, of course, loss of Carl Weathers, who passed away at the end of the week. You obviously he has been a big part of Star Wars since he arrives all the way back in the first season of The Mandalorian, and has been a big part of that arc throughout its course. It's unexpected. I didn't expect it. Obviously, you hardly ever do. I mean, to me, he's always going to be Apollo Creed. That's who he is. Which is weird because when you think about it, he's actually, the movie he's been in most that I've seen is Happy Gilmore. So you'd think he'd be Chubbs, but he's always been Apollo Creed for me. And it's was a gut punch. So about you guys, how did you, what was talk about Carl?
Well, I think for me it was, I didn't believe it at first. I just started, the minute I saw it, I was like, no, there's no way. There's absolutely no way. I'm going to, literally go online. I went online. I just started searching, and multiple news sites were reporting it. And I was just like, you gotta be kidding me. This sucks. In March, he was actually be coming to GalaxyCon here in Richmond, Virginia, and they had just announced Dolph Lundgren not that long ago. So I was actually gonna shell out the money for the photo op with those two.
Oh.
And it just bummed me out. But GalaxyCon did the classy thing. They did a really nice video package with an R.I.P to him. But like Apollo Creed for sure is always how I'm gonna remember him. But I also loved him in Predator. And he had other great movies. I mean, obviously doing stuff like Happy Gilmore was great because Chubbs is such a great character. And I really enjoyed Grief Karga in The Mandalorian. I really enjoyed that character. I liked his character arc and how he started and where he was at the end of season 3. And it's a bummer. It's a straight up bummer, especially when one of the last videos he posted is he's getting ready to go out and direct his own thing. And he was excited, and next thing you know, that night, it's a shock. I don't know if it's come out yet exactly what happened, but I mean, I'm just happy that at least it was in his sleep, and that's at least some solace in that respect. But it's a tragic loss for the Star Wars community, just because I feel like there was so much more his character he could have brought to that character. I really hope that whenever we were supposed to see him again, they do that character justice. I really hope that if they decide to recast, or if they, heaven forbid, try to do that stupid, BS of trying to do CGI for, I hope they don't do that. I really hope so. They don't do that. But yeah, it's crushing in the sense of it's someone I grew up with in my childhood watching, and I hate to say it, but it's getting to be that point where I hate the fact that getting old means having to lose people that help shape your life growing up through the characters they portrayed.
That's really well said, Randy. This was this just sucks, and I think you nailed it. I don't think there's anything that I'm going to say that is going to sound any better than what you just did. And I'll be honest, I'll peel back the curtain here and not focus on Star Wars here for a second. And by no means am I trying to make this about me, so please nobody think this. But I'm not well. I'm very, very sick, and whether I'm here 5 more years or 25 more years remains to be seen. And so I think about death a lot, and it kills me, and I struggle with it, and It's not like, hey, you know what sounds like a good idea today? Let's think about death. Because we all have different views and takes on what we go through and what happens once our lives are over. So everybody handles it from a different mental standpoint. But when it starts to be either people close to you that you've spent significant time with, whether it's your friends, family, or people that have made an impression on your life, musicians, artists, entertainers, actors, athletes, it's like a piece of you goes too. And it's hard. And this one sucked because like I was a big Ray Stevenson guy too. It's not like I just got into Ray Stevenson because of Star Wars. I'm not a big Punisher Warzone fan in terms of the movie itself, but Ray Stevenson made fucking chicken salad out of chicken shit in that movie. And I know people liked him in the I believe the first Thor movie. He has a significant chunk of time in too, and he's been in so many other things. And now Carl, you think back, and obviously Rocky is first and foremost. It's why it's on the center of the screen. Apollo, say what you can be the biggest Stallone fan you want. Those first two movies and this franchise doesn't go where it did without Carl Weathers, without Apollo Creed. A hero is only as good as his villain. And in this case, at least in that first movie, the way it comes across, he was able to elevate everything he did. And I think that's, important to know. If you're a Star Wars fan, you need to be willing to be honest with yourself that a lot of Star Wars is not written very well. And anytime Carl's on screen, I never once felt like, oh, well, Carl's lowering himself to be in a Star Wars movie for Disney. Carl elevated everything I ever seen him in. And I think Johnny had brought this movie up. I don't know if it was on this show or another show. And I don't know if he remembers it, but we seen it when we were younger. It's at my house. It's a movie called Force 10 from Navarro. It has the late, great Robert Shaw in it, Harrison Ford, and yes, Carl Weathers. And I'm forgetting who the fourth is, their party. And it's just, like, you want to talk about chemistry in a movie between actors and bringing entertainment in every scene that you're in. Those guys had it. That's a movie most people haven't even heard of. And I'm telling you, if you're a Carl Weathers fan, if you're a Harrison Ford fan, if you like Robert Shaw, those that don't know who that is, watch Jaws. It's incredible. Go watch. Honestly, I would love to do if you could find a good quality version of it, I would love to do a watch along of that movie on this channel, almost as a tribute to Carl at some point. But I think it's also important to remember, and I'll end with this. Carl Weathers is Apollo Creed. Carl Weathers, for me, was basically New Canon's Talon Card with his Grief Karga. Very similar characters. People know him as so many Chubbs. Happy Gilmore, obviously. That movie's not the same without his performance in it. But just do yourselves a favor and do Carl a favor, remembering that's someone's husband, at one point son, father, grandfather, and as much as we've lost an important entertainer to the world who gave us a bunch of time, someone lost a lot more than what we did. So our thoughts are definitely with them and their families.
I could not have said it any better myself. Like I said, we save the this week's multiple choice question. This week's a yes or no question. And of course, did you enjoy Carl Weathers in Star Wars? That's the question. So comment down below. Yes, no. Did you like Star Wars? Did you like Carl in Star Wars? And don't be afraid to say no if you didn't enjoy it for whatever reason.
Yeah, it's not.
There's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to like everything everyone does to respect the person, the individual, obviously. So if you didn't enjoy it, say no. Tell us why. Why didn't you like it? Why didn't you enjoy it? What about it wasn't fun? What if you did? tell us why you liked it. What about it did you enjoy? What made it special? All those fun things.
Talking Star Wars said yes. Kenny said yes. Guys, follow that up. Why did you enjoy him in Star Wars? Let us know. We would love to come back to that and share it on air to everybody in the chat. If you enjoyed him or if you didn't enjoy him, leave it in the chat. And if we're live while you do it, we will read it out before the end of the show.
Indeed, we did. Indeed, we will. All right. So obviously we're into the holonet now. So let's get down to the happier news, and by that I mean just news that isn't depressing. So let's jump right in. The first bit of news is the Mandalorian and Grogu, still titled that. Please give us a real title, preferably soon. I'm tired of calling it that. Is set to begin filming. In just a few months in June. It's being reported now that season 4 of The Mandalorian is unlikely. Quick turnaround on shooting, which to me sort of implies what I've said from the jump, that they've pretty much just taken what was supposed to be season 4 and cut some out, added some, and made it into a motion picture. What do you guys think about that? Is that what you think they've done? Are you surprised they're not doing a season 4? I'll let you guys, whoever wants to go first.
I mean, it definitely sounds like that's what they had. Like they had at least the basis for season 4, or at least a partial script that was ready to go. And they're like, you know what, since we're gonna do the movie, let's just scrap season 4, and we're gonna take what we were gonna do, and we're gonna make it the movie, which isn't a bad thing, but hopefully what they were actually planning in general was going to be at least exciting and fun for everybody, and not just, hey, let's see what we can do with Grogu this go around, because obviously this movie is going to help set up parts of Filoni's movie in the end, after Ahsoka season 2 and things like that. So I'm really hoping that this is kind of like, this is where Ahsoka is, this is what Din and Grogu are up to, and that at the end of this, everything's going to start converging into what's going to happen with Thrawn, and whatever threat is coming that he's been always worried about in the back of his mind. So I'm looking forward to it. I hope they can tighten up the script and really make it something special, since it's making the leap to the silver screen essentially, and that we at least get some good character development. Obviously, with a species like Grogu, it's hard to really get significant character growth, just because of just how long they live for, and the fact that he's still considered a toddler for his race, even though he's 50, 60 years old. So it's going to be interesting to see. I think this should be a more Din focused movie, but we'll see how it goes out.
Before you answer that, Sean, talking Star Wars, are you looking at my notes? Are you looking at mine? Is that what you're doing? We will get to that question right after this one. But Sean?
I think first of all, if it's not what Johnny suggested, some sort of transformed version of season 4 into a movie, no doubt with stuff added based off of feedback of certain things that have happened and where they intend to take the story next, then shooting in June is nuts, just being honest. And guess what, Jurassic World Park fans, I know there's a date out there for next year, but don't hold your breath is my advice on that one.
That's for your trailer. No, don't worry about it.
Yeah, right? Right? Movie hasn't even been written yet, people. Anyways.
You mean you don't think they can turn around, film, edit, cut together an entire film that is very heavily reliant on CG in a year?
Well, I mean, it's Universal, so maybe they'll go the AI route.
Jesus.
I guess they're not going to sponsor us.
Can we just have a strike for stop that?
I think Universal's been pretty mad at this channel for a long time, so I don't think I'm burning any bridges that aren't already burnt.
They were at least on fire.
Yeah, no doubt. But no, I hope Randy's right. This should be a Din Djarin movie, a Mandalorian movie that is building into this Filoni movie. It can't, like, the premise of the movie can be grounded, but at some point during this event, it needs to expand and allude to what's next. And Grogu can be there. And guess what? This movie needs to appeal to people that haven't seen a single episode of The Mandalorian. So not only is your space crawl, which there will be one, going to probably try to catch viewers up to date on, here's who these two are and what they're doing. Undoubtedly, in the first act of the movie, some portion of it in some way will let you know who they are and why they're together. So like it or not, that is going to be a chunk of this movie, even though we've already seen the events of it. It's just how it works. Now, once you get past that stuff, I get a little more excited. And the thumbnail for this episode, again, I believe Randy had mentioned, not the thumbnail, but specifically Thrawn. This is it. This is the movie you have Thrawn in. If Thrawn is your big guy in the Filoni movie, which has already been confirmed, you have him in this movie. And you have him do something big towards the end. I'm not saying he's the all over the movie and the main villain of the movie. But at this point, it would be a complete travesty to not use those grounds to build that character up more while still serving Din and building your universe out more. Star Wars has never done this. This is new for them, people. And until cameras are actually rolling, I'm going to hold my breath on any sort of release date. Or not hold my breath on a release date. I'll be dead. But I'm excited at what it could bring, but I'm also scared shitless about the possibility of this just being a cheap money grab with no real stakes. They still have a chance to have stakes in this movie while having a fun movie. Mm-hmm. I hope they take that chance.
Absolutely. All right, guys, we sort of kind of alluded to the direction everything's going to take, being sort of that, transformed version of what season 4 was going to be. But 2 parts. Okay. What direction do you expect the story to take in? And obviously, in answer to Talking Star Wars question, how do you think that Greef Karga's lack of presence will be addressed in the film?
I mean, that's actually really an excellent question, because obviously probably the early rough drafts of the script they had obviously had him in it. So now it's just, like I said, do we go ahead and recast him? Do we bring someone in who has a similar gravitas that would work with bringing that character to life? Or do they go the damn CG route and try to get permission from the family and I doubt that's going to happen. But the last thing I want them to do is, something off camera happens. I mean, they could go that route, but the last thing I want is for that. I want to, if they're going to kill the character off, which I don't think is a good idea, then I want it done proper. I don't want it kind of happened off screen somewhere because of some ship blowing up because someone attacked it. I don't want that crappy excuse. So as long as it's done proper, it's fine. I'd rather see the character live on, even if it's through another actor. Hell, let's bring in like Keith David, because that dude has some serious gravitas and he's a decent actor. I could see him portraying Greef Karga if they were going to do something like that. As for the direction of the movie, like I said, I think what they should do is make it a Din story and kind of have it not exactly the same timeline as Ahsoka, but this is where he's going. He's hearing similar whispers because obviously he still, has some connections with the New Republic. So because I can't remember that pilot's name that they've used in both Ahsoka and Mandalorian, but he's had contact with him. So it's just, you can use him to kind of bridge the gap in the sense of the connection of like, hey, this is what's going on with Ahsoka. And in the end, we're going to see the stories converge into whatever Filoni has in mind for his movie. so that at least we can get Thrawn involved and we can say, hey, there's a bigger threat coming. We need to get everybody together and prepare for this.
So Captain Tiva. That's the name you were thinking.
Yeah.
Sean, what about you?
Well, I was listening to Randy talk there and how he doesn't want Grief to be killed off screen, and all I could think of is the Rise of Skywalker, and in my head, my brain has been yelling at me this minute. Did that come through? No.
All I heard was static.
Same.
That's unfortunate. That's basically what I was doing. But Vader, it's weird that it didn't come through. Yeah, look, I fucking hate what they did with Leia in Rise of Skywalker. I thought it was such a disservice to Carrie Fisher, but more importantly, the character. And I would rather find out that some catastrophic thing that sets the events up for a movie has happened, and you learn about his death in some horrifying, gruesome way on screen. You learn about the death, but the death could have happened off screen. I don't want to see anything remotely close to Carrie Fisher. Not that I'm suggesting Randy said that, but that's the first thing that popped into my head. Yeah, in terms of story, look, I'm sure it's going to be grounded. I'm sure there's going to be Mandalorian lore. I'm sure we're going to see a familiar face that they're going to, keep hidden away, whether it ends up being a Han or a Lando or a Luke or a Leia or whoever at some point. You'll have the ability to, if you want to have a fun little cameo in the movie, to do that. But to me, at the end of the day, this has to be about Mando getting on the Imperial's radar for whatever reason. More specifically, the Imperial Remnant.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, like we said, I think whatever the plan for season 4 was, and it was sort of clear that they were building up a more sort of Mandalorian-centric season, dealing with sort of the politics of, recreating the tribe and things of that nature that I think would translate well to a film. And I think this is a good opportunity to build them up as sort of a contributing factor to the New Republic and being part of that and getting involved with this in this battle with what is to become the Imperial Remnant. I think that makes the most sense to me. Obviously, you'll have a story about Din and Grogu, and like Sean said, you will have to backstory them, which makes sense because let's be honest, for Grogu, the extent of his backstory is we know he was in the Jedi Temple on Coruscant during Order 66. That's it. That's the extent of his backstory. And the Mandalorian himself, we know he is a foundling. That's it. We don't know very much about their backstories. That this, as a film, is a good opportunity to, sort of dive into their backstories a bit more and explain some of that in a platform that is good. And as for Grief, as much as I like the idea of it, I think at the end, sort of, the path of least resistance is I don't think you have him in the film until the end. You can mention him, of course, and you could even sort of have off-screen interactions with him, with Din dealing with grief or, having a call with grief or whatever. But I think at the end, and this is just me purely writing from a, fantasy perspective, is that you sort of have him at the end reach out to Din on a holo call, because I assume we have enough footage that you could put this together with film that's actually shot already and put it together in a way that you can edit it effectively and not end up with the, Carrie Fisher mishmash of awkwardness that was episode 9, and just get a holo call that is him, calling Din for help and literally just sort of having the building explode around him while he's calling for help. As he's sort of setting up, like Thrawn and his people blow it up while he's on a holo call with Din, and that's sort of how you wheel him back into the plot and wheel Thrawn in as well, while making it, giving Din that sort of oomph to get into the fight here. And But it kills two birds with one stone, because if it just so happens that Cara Dune is in the building with him, hey, two birds, one stone.
It's actually not a horrible idea.
It works. It works too, because I mean, obviously, I'm sure there's enough Carl Weathers footage that you could put together a plea for help holo call without it being awkward. And as I said, segue, that leads us into this next topic, which was, well, further down the notes originally, but, well, what actually wasn't further down the notes either. We'll get into it right now. That's Cara Dune actress Gina Carano is being bankrolled by Elon Musk in a wrongful termination suit against Disney and Star Wars. And I can't even keep a straight face when I'm doing this intro. Yes, she's suing Disney and Star Wars in the hopes of being recast because of wrongful termination and discrimination.
Aren't we a few years too late for this? Isn't there like a statute of limitations somewhere? Because that just seems like out of the blue, this article pops up and you're kind of like, wait, what?
That's what that was my reaction. I hadn't seen it anywhere prior to that, and then I go over the notes for the show, and I'm like, wait, this can't be real, can it? This isn't actually a thing that's happening. This is a joke, right? This is a haha. This is a funny in the notes. You're making a joke, and then I googled it, and hey, it's real, and I'm just like, you got fired 4 years ago. Why are we doing this now?
Yeah, it doesn't. To me, it doesn't make sense. To me, it's like, why wait so long? Unless you think unless you're like, oh, the backlash has died down from everything I said, so let's go for it. And I think, unfortunately, Disney's going to be like, is there a reason you had to wait this long? Why didn't you do this day one? Because at least you'd have had more of a leg to stand on, or rather than all of a sudden out of the blue, hey, I might be running out of money, let me go and do this and get backed by Elon Musk of all people. It just, to me, it doesn't make sense, but everybody has their own reasons for it, and I'm not going to dig into it. I mean, hell, she was just announced recently that she was going to be at GalaxyCon, and my friend's like, why is she here? And I'm like, well, she's got to eat too, man. She's got to make her money somehow. So I don't know. It's strange to me that just here it is. All of a sudden, boom, let's do it. And that's like, okay.
I've been watching Power Rangers with my 4-year-old lately, so this one's hitting close to home for the wrong reasons. But
the wrong reasons.
The wrong reasons, yeah. Let me. I'd need another hour to vent about the people that created Power Rangers, but we don't have that. Look, so I'll say this: I didn't read the actual suit. I couldn't do myself that sort of harm after reading the Vince McMahon one. So I didn't, but I listened to some people talk about it and read some articles on it. And look, this is what I'll say is I cannot sit here and tell you that she was not targeted. I can't tell you that she didn't piss off anybody on set and that they were looking at first chance to get rid of her. No idea. But I can tell you this much. Disney has done some pretty fucked up, unethical things. The handling of their company has been a joke. Their handling of all those employees they laid off has been a joke. The fucking what's-his-face is gone, and Iger's now back, and Iger in the strike, and the writer strike was going on, and wanting to run people out of their houses, and legitimately saying that, and so much worse that Disney's done. I'm not going to be the guy that sits here and points at Gina Carano and goes, you know what, shame on you. I just can't do that. Do I think that woman is very misguided and probably has some people in her life misguiding her? Yeah, I think she definitely listens to the wrong side of the fan base as well. But at the end of the day, like Johnny said it off air, you can have freedom of speech, but if you cross a line, there's consequences sometimes. And in this case, it cost her job. I think the thing that really bothers me, though, is I actually liked Cara Dune as a character.
Mhm.
I had no problem with Gina's performance on screen. I thought the fight sequences she was in were always good, which makes sense because she was a fighter. I liked the character. And I think the fact that they chose not to recast the character and basically want you to forget about her in one tiny passing line by Carson Teva that's mentioned, and then you're never supposed to think about that character at all again, even though she was heavily involved in the events of the first 2 seasons, is pretty fucked up. Like, to me, that feels like a personal jab at the actress, rather than doing what's best for your own franchise and not realizing that you're really hurting the fans. Like, the fans might not think so. Even the anti-Gina fans might not think so. But let me tell you something. Let me tell every one of you mother Canuckers something. Go back and watch your YouTube reactions to the first 2 seasons of Mandalorian. They're all out there for everybody to see. And see how you're reacting to that character. Obviously, there's a reason to hold the actress accountable. But now there's people that have just revisionist history about the whole thing. And, nobody ever liked that character, and that character was boring. And this is what you get. All you do is fucking fuel the fandom into more toxicity. And it's frustrating. You wanna make things better? Bring the character back, hire someone who can play the role the way it's meant to be, and move on. A lawsuit, I would be shocked if it ends up anywhere. And in terms of why now, well, someone else is paying the bill. That's why now.
That's fair. I mean, as far as that goes, that's fair. I suppose. I mean, to me, Twitter is Twitter X, whatever you want to call it these days, is the ultimate place where play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Is the tagline of the app, I guess. Like. People always say, oh, it's like writing in my own personal journal. Buddy, if you let your personal journal get read by every person on the planet, you have issues far greater than I do. You're speaking on a public platform, and I don't care what you say until you say something that's so bad that you're like, whoa, wait a minute now. It's that big bright line that until you reach a certain point, you can go, oh, it's fine. It's free speech, whatever. I don't agree with you. I think you're a moron, but you can exist as a moron and it not affect my life. Eventually, there's a point where you got to say, hold on a minute now. That's too far. That's over the line. Don't be silly. And let's be frank, I can guarantee 1 bajillion% that her Disney contract had a morals clause in it.
Oh, no
I
doubt.
guarantee it.
Considering it's Disney.
As far as I know, all the talent contracts do that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's like, you as
I have no doubt her
is,
as an actress, though, didn't know about it because
I don't doubt that.
Contracts are insanely long, and we're not talking 4 or 5 page deals here. And their agent goes over that stuff, and it's just, it's the type of, well, I need to read you this, and so you need to listen so that it's been read to you. But like, how much are you paying attention when you're sitting in a lawyer's office to the important stuff you are, and then some of the.
And by the important stuff, we mean how much am I getting paid per episode, and what are my residuals?
Yeah,
those are the important things. That's what you're caring about.
I don't think she thought she was going to get fired.
It's one of those instances where, like, it's one of those things, like with the Hollywood, just in general Hollywood, where agents having so many clients is a detriment because an agent should see these tweets and pick up the phone and be like, hey, you're getting pretty close to violating your contract. You might want to,
I want to walk that back.
take a breath here, because you're getting pretty close to, being in violation of your contract, and they could fire you for this. Maybe take a step back and, you're threading a line here, and be careful so that at least you can't say, I didn't know this could happen. Well, that's somebody's job that even if it's an assistant should be like, wait a minute, like, agents have enough assistants that I'm sure somebody is watching, your Twitter, their clients' Twitters, or publicists for that. Like, that's literally a publicist's job. I'm sure she had one. Like, pick up the phone and be like, hey there, Gina, what you doing? It's ridiculous that, you can now go back and cry, oh, I didn't know this could happen, and it was freeze. No, don't be stupid. Don't be stupid.
It's in
Just
the
don't
wording
be
of the
stupid.
contract that you shouldn't have crossed this line. Well, and speaking of, stupid, for all the toxic fans out there, it's like, did you forget she was getting her own show before she got fired?
Yeah.
Obviously, the popularity of this character.
This character was so hated and boring that she was set to be a central character in a new series. Yeah, that's exactly what we do for our boring characters.
So, fun fact about that was not going to be her series. She was going to have a part in it similar to The Mandalorian season 1 and 2, someone that pops up in a few episodes. I know everybody runs with headlines, but I'm telling you, unless you're getting your information from Jeff Snyder, Bespin Bulletin, or Making Star Wars, you should, or even like a big trade, assume that it's bullshit. The fact is, you're talking about Rangers of the New Republic. The star of that show was supposed to be Timothy Oliphant, and there was scheduling issues. So between that and then the Gina Carano stuff on top of it, they scrapped it. Which, fuck that, man. I want Timothy Oliphant.
Give me more Cobb Vanth, damn it.
Yeah, wasn't that scheduling issue, though, that he filmed another season of Justified?
We're not going to talk about that. That didn't happen.
Oh, that didn't happen?
Someone's salty over there.
No comment. Trying to be off here soon.
All right. Well, we have another hour-long rant if we go down this rabbit hole.
All right. In favor of moving the train along, let's move the train along. We had some gaming stuff as well, so we'll get into that. Indiana Jones, we know it's not Star Wars, but it's Star Wars adjacent. It's Lucasfilm. It's Star Wars adjacent. And that is that Indiana Jones is slated for a holiday, December release, which right around what we expected. I'm looking at you're gonna have to source that second last part for me, because that's not at all true. Or at least it wasn't. Yes, it is. People wondering, a Game Pass day one. It's a Bethesda game, owned by Microsoft, day one.
Oh, see, that's what I thought. I don't know what you're talking about then.
Okay, because in the notes here it says PS5 release likely, and that's
accurate. No, it is. It is absolutely accurate. It's not going to be a day-and-day release, but they are seriously considering putting it over on the PS5.
They'd be dumb not to.
Release. Yeah, no, it is more than likely going to happen. The question is, how soon will it happen? It will not be day-and-day. This is something that Bespin Bulletin also covered. I believe he was on Star Wars Santa's show when he did it. But it was either him or Jason. But yeah, no, it's out there. Henderson too, I believe, brought that.
Okay, that is why it's a very new thing.
So
24
I mean,
hours.
I hope we know before. I mean, it's not like I'd be buying it for Xbox anyways. But I hope we know before the game comes out if there's definitively going to be a PS5 version, even if it's 6 months down the road, because then I might just wait. That way I can stream it on here.
I think if it is, you're looking at more than a 6-month wait. It'll probably be a year plus. I think that's sort of, if it is to follow that route, I think it'll be more like when PlayStation does release their stuff on Steam. I know they haven't gone the full route to go console, but they do eventually release it on Steam, and we're just now getting Forbidden West on Steam. I think in April, and that game's been out for a year and a half at this point. I think maybe even close to 2 years. So
I think when it comes to Bethesda releases, it's going to be also based on the wording in the contract for when it comes to Microsoft. I feel like
Microsoft owns them, so the contract is whatever
right.
they need to be.
But the thing is like there's certain games that are going to be coming out from Bethesda that people are going to want to play, and Microsoft would be dumb to not allow it to go cross-platform just to earn that kind of money. Because I know, like with the new Elder Scrolls game that they've been working on and other stuff, they'd be dumb to just kind of sit there and be like, no, we're going to keep it over here. So it's only a matter of time.
I think for certain things they will. I think this is, and again, this is getting a little off track, but I think this is sort of a thumb in your eye at Sony. You know, you oppose the Activision suit because we're not going to, you know, we're going to keep Call of Duty off your platform. Well, no, we're actually going to let Bethesda games be on your platform. So here's a thumb in your eye. How come you're not letting us have your PlayStation games? You know, here's a thumb in your eye tactic is sort of my takeaway on this. It seems to be something I've seen in more. I didn't realize it was related to that, but I've seen that sort of going around the platforms. This sort of a thing that they think that this is just the thumb in your eye. All right. Outlaws is also scheduled for a Q4 release this year. Being that they are two different studios, I think that's a huge factor in this. Does that affect? Does one coming up affect the other?
Lucasfilm, yeah, I think it absolutely does because Lucasfilm Games is involved with both of them, and honestly, like, this is me pleading as a fan, and I get it that the gaming industry doesn't work this way anymore. But for the love of God, delay Outlaws, please.
Q1, give me Q1 of 2025. Let's do this.
Even Q2.
Yeah.
Take the extra time, develop the game properly. Because the other thing that that happened today that I think I sent you a message saying let's just do these two at once.
Yes,
is I think his name's Tom Henderson. He's a big gaming insider. Said they're seriously like for him as far as he knows, that game is going to come out right now as it stands today. What's the date today? February 6th, 2024. That the intention is to release the game before Q4 this year, which means Q3 or sooner.
No.
Now he's worried. He says he's worried that the game might get delayed. Don't be worried. For the love of God, delay it and make sure it's ready to be launched.
Agreed.
I'm a huge Star Wars guy. I'm a huge indie guy. I'm already committed to getting both. One I'll have to pay for. One I'll at least get to try on Xbox. Please just do it right. Don't rush. That's all I'm saying. I know people want their things as soon as possible, but only bad can come from rushing. The quick path leads to the dark side. A little green guy said that.
Well, and we've seen Ubisoft mess up games because of the demand and the rushing things out. And some of those Assassin's Creed games were unfinished and unpolished and had errors and issues. You'd fall through the world. I mean, they had to patch so much for one of their Assassin's Creed games that it just
Unity.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you don't want to be stuck in patch hell like every day. Well, there's another update. Son of a bitch. Come on, man. I just want to play the game. Take your time. Polish it. Test it. Make sure everything works properly. Then drop it. We've seen this issue with AAA titles all the time. You know, and I get it. You want to make the money. You have this fever pitch of people just wanting it right now. I get it. But you know what fans really want? A game that works, a game that plays well, a game that they can sink hours into and not worry about a patch every day just to fix whatever got fucked up from the word go. I get it. You're going to have to patch. You're going to have to do DLC. You're going to have to do all this extra crap. That's fine. But if you put out a great product from the word go, I mean, look at Elden Ring. That game didn't even need a lot of patches. It was a complete game, day one, ended up basically being game of the year because they took their time and they knew what they were doing. I mean, if you're not a soul, like a Dark Souls type fan, and then I get that, but still, the game is excellent. It didn't need a lot. It just they support it still. It's just don't rush it. That's all there is to it.
It's the nature of the announcement parable. They keep announcing it's the same as the movies. It's the same thing. They're doing it on the gaming side too. Is that they announce these projects so early in development that you have to wait for so long for them to come out, and people don't like waiting. Like for a very long time, you would get a game announced a year before release. That's when it's announced. You could hear rumblings and rumors that, blank studio is working on blank game or blank title or, this type of game. And, you can hear rumors and stuff like that, but they'd announce the game, the announcement would come with a release date, and the release date would be met, and it wouldn't require a 100% patch on day one. Rockstar is the only company I can think of off the top of my head in the modern era that doesn't fall victim to the release bug. They announce their projects and then they make you wait. And 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 they keep teasing you and toying with you and giving you little breadcrumbs, and then finally they drop it. Like that's the thing. They're at that stage now with GTA 6. They still don't have a release date, and they've only just released their first trailer, and the assumption is it's in a year. And that works because Rockstar meets their deadlines, they get their games out, and when they come out, they are impeccable. I don't want to say flawless because they do have flaws. Every game does, but that's the nature of, it's sort of like, like Randy was talking about with Elden Ring. The flaws aren't game breaking, and they are relatively easily patched with small patches. And that's one thing Rockstar has done phenomenally well, is that very few other studios do that. They rush. We have to put out a title in a franchise every year. No, you don't. Take your time. Give us something that's going to play right. Give us something that's going to play, period. And give us something we're going to enjoy. And if that takes you a couple of years, don't tell us it's coming. We don't need to know. We don't need to know when you change the toilet paper in the bathroom. We really don't. It's not important for us to know these things. You can tell us that, blank studio has signed a contract with Disney to produce a game in the Star Wars universe. That's nice. Don't give us release windows. Don't give us titles. Don't give us teasers. Don't give us trailers. Just, if you want to tell us that blank studio has signed to foment that interest, great. But don't give us more than that until you're ready to give us something real. I don't know if any Star Wars game right now is at the give us something real stage.
Not that I'm aware of. I feel like indie studios do better with taking their time than anybody else. I mean, think about some of the games that, lived on early access, and then they went to Steam and Steam early access, and then the beta, and then look at games like Subnautica or The Forest or things like that, where they took their time and they developed it. They got feedback from the fans, and then eventually it came full release, and they kept patching and working with it. And then 6 months to a year down the road, they got a console edition. These developers really took their time to try to deliver an experience for everybody that they would enjoy. And they're some of the most well-received games out there.
I mean, there are flip sides to that coin, though.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Wildcard, I'm looking at you. Every time you fixed a patch, you broke something else. I'm referring to ARC if you're unfamiliar with studios. But I digress. This is a topic that we will obviously continue to talk about as we get closer and closer to release dates and release windows. And the amount of excitement I have for Indiana Jones is palpable. I've had that for a long time. And then seeing the trailer made it even better.
The trailer was incredible.
It really was. We talked about it on the show.
I didn't have interest in an indie game before seeing the trailer.
I had an interest because of the studio, and that sort of, Bethesda to this day has really not put out a stinker, in my opinion. All of the well, I can't say that anymore.
I was gonna say Fallout 76. Hello.
Well, no, that's not. Come on now, we can't compare that to the other games. That's not. And even that, I wouldn't
you have
call
to
a
admit they
stinker.
rushed it. They rushed that.
They
though.
did. They really did. But I would say Starfield is the stinker. That one is the first Bethesda game that I have not finished front to back, and I started playing it on launch.
I remember you were really excited about that one too.
I was, and then I got to play it and realized I'm doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. This is boring. All right, let's move forward. I don't want to say blow through the rest of the stuff, but let's try and blow through the rest of the stuff.
Yeah.
To the surprise of no one, since he has wanted to come back to the character since the dawn of time, Ewan McGregor is lobbying for an Obi-Wan season 2. I don't want to say I speak for all of us, but I think I speak for all of us when I say, no shit, Sherlock.
You can't leave us with him finally seeing Qui-Gon and then be like, no, we're not going to do season 2. Damn it. I want season 2. I want to see how he trains with Qui-Gon. We need to see how he got white hair, considering it was not that far after that we see A New Hope. So
I am a massive Kenobi fan, as in the character. Massive Ewan McGregor fan. But if I sit back and look at what Star Wars upcoming slate is, and be realistic about how much they can produce in a year, looking 2, 3, even 4 years out, I don't see where they're doing this unless it's going to be something that happens half a decade from now.
Good.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's a problem because Ewan will just continue getting more and more appropriately aged to look like Alec Guinness.
Well, I think the thing is something needs to happen to the character because it's just so.
Oh no, for sure,
right?
for sure.
Well,
and I mean, you've lined it up with the training. You can at some. Yeah. My guess is somehow the training takes its toll on him.
Or what if he gets trapped in the world between worlds with Qui-Gon during the training for years before he finds his way back out?
That'd be something.
You could use that.
That's an interesting wrinkle because he does age rapidly between where we've seen him now and his appearance in Rebels.
Well, because you think about the training Ahsoka went through in the world between worlds with Anakin. What if Obi-Wan just doesn't seem to grasp what Qui-Gon's trying to teach him, and it just takes him that much longer before he's able to actually escape?
Or we actually learn how long the passage of time is in the world between worlds, and what we think is just a mere moment is in fact years.
They're very true. That could be possible.
That's a thought that's going to fester.
I guess my thing is I look at it and I go, Kenobi ended in a place where you really can explain everything away. Aged probably during training. Do we need to see him with Qui-Gon? I would love to, but in terms of getting viewers and stuff, I don't know what that does for a general audience. And I hate looking at things that way, but you almost have to when trying to think about what's going to come or what might not come. That's something that could be done in a book or a graphic novel. So I don't think we've seen the last of Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi. But I don't know if we will see Obi-Wan Kenobi season 2 at this point.
That's fair.
And frankly, if they're going to put as much effort into the production quality and go low budget again the way they did, I'll pass. And that's my favorite character I'm talking about. Like, if you're going to do it, give him the love that you're giving Andor.
That's fair.
And you could even, if they're not really willing to put in the money for the production, and things like that, you could always go Tales of the Jedi and explain some of that stuff through that.
That's what I was thinking as well. It would make for good Tales of the Jedi, a full season Tales of the Jedi, not just one individual episode or even a short little arc. Like we got so far. It's been 3 episodes per character.
Yeah.
So what they've done so far. Just do a full season, and even that, maybe 2. Give me a 12 episode Tales of the Jedi season that's entirely Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I'm happy. So let's move on, and we got one more topic in the hall. Excuse me, we got two more topics in the holonet. One of them is so that I almost don't feel like we need to cover it, but Hayden Christensen is returning for Ahsoka season 2. Was anyone expecting him not to?
It wouldn't make any sense if he didn't.
I mean, he literally is on the planet with them at the end in ghost form. Like, hello, of course he's going to be in season 2. Like, anyone who thinks he's not going to be in season 2 is Kieran. That's about it. And that's just because he hates Hayden so much.
Yeah, well, I'm sure he'll watch it and hate the performance too. But guess what? He's getting Emmy consideration, people. So, fight on that. I mean, that's the ultimate mic drop from Hayden to the haters.
It just proves the point.
He had a great character. He had a great script and great directing. I mean, that's all you really needed.
It just proves the point that I have been saying all along. Yes, Anakin Skywalker is trash in pretty much 75% of the prequel trilogy. That's not the fault of Hayden Christensen. It's the fault of George Lucas. George is an amazing godfather of storytelling.
You can type this shit, but you can't say it, as Harrison Ford would say.
Exactly.
He knows how to build a world, is basically what he did.
And he's one of the best at it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but when it comes to the minutia, the day-to-day writing, there's a reason the best Star Wars films, when people think of their top films, are not ones written by George. Not directed by George. But that's a conversation for a different day. One more for the holonet this week, and then we'll get on with the last little bit of the show. I'm assuming DICE pitched Battlefront 3. EA turned them down. Can I just go on record as saying thank God?
Yeah, I think
I second that.
I think Lucasfilm wanted them to do it, so obviously Lucasfilm and DICE got together, and EA being the parent company. Remember, EA made those games under an exclusive banner too. That's important to remember. This is what I'll say: if you could guarantee me that the next Battlefront 3 will start as good as where Battlefront 2 is now when you play it, I would be on board. And everyone goes, oh, Battlefront 2 ended up being so amazing. Yeah, it only took them 2 fucking years to do it. 2
How many
years.
people were still playing it when it got good?
Not a year, not 6 months, not 3 months, 2 fucking years. Because you went with this stupid ass, greedy pay-to-win system and also made characters almost impossible to unlock, and then hid them behind season passes where you couldn't even use a character like Obi-Wan Kenobi till half a year after the fucking game came out. Obi-Wan Kenobi, people. Half a year after the game comes out. Fuck you. Sorry, that's how I feel about the handling of that.
I was one of those idiots about the deluxe edition and was very disappointed.
But, but it just proves his point, though, in that the system
really was pay to win.
Ridiculous.
The loot box shit was ridiculous.
And it wasn't even like, I don't hate the loot box system on its face, so long as the relative ratio of currency is effective. If you want to pay to get the currency, fine. I have no issue with that. But it should not be in any way mandatory to succeed. If you cannot play the game and get enough credits, currency, gems, whatever the in-game system is, if you cannot get enough to progress without paying for it, your system is fucked up.
Yeah, I remember, if memory serves me correctly, someone figured it out in the beginning that it would take you, I think it was like 3 years if you're a free-to-play player, like you don't pay a damn cent. It's like 3 years just to unlock one of the characters hidden behind that high paywall of whether it was Vader or Luke. That's ridiculous. Granted, they did right. It took them a while. And took a lot of fan backlash from it, and took a lot of the ideas that some of the fans threw out there, and eventually, delivered on what they originally were trying to say they were going to do. But sometimes some people it's too little too late. Like I'd stop playing before they finally got to that point.
I had as well. I only played it a handful of times. Mostly those were at the request of Sean, and if I'm being honest, his son, who was coming and wanted to play. So, it's hard to say no at that point, but I wasn't going out to play it by myself.
Sorry, I'm going to apologize now. I know we're getting ready to wrap up here shortly after a couple more topics. For those of you that are watching me move like my arm and move around, I horrifically messed up my shoulder and I don't know how. So I'm good, but apologize if I look like an idiot on cam. More so than normal.
Takes a dig, so I can't dig it in. Yeah. All right, that's going to do it for this week's segment of the Hollow Net. We've got one more segment, and then your end of show housekeeping stuff. And that is, it's time for the game of the week. This week, I chose the game, and I went sort of all-encompassing, and I chose Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, because it's all-encompassing. In hindsight, I probably should have just picked one of the other ones that only dealt with one portion of the...
Sorry, we forgot one thing. Sorry to cut you off here. For those of you that are fans of Star Wars audiobooks, I didn't even know that there was going to be this slew of audiobooks dropped. But I believe it was within the last few days, they dropped a brand new audiobook to the Star Wars Legends novel, Yoda Dark Rendezvous. So it's not like just an updated version of the old one. They've gone and done a completely new audio version of that book. They've also done the same thing for this popular one, The Courtship of Princess Leia. They're also doing the Wraith Squadron series, and they dropped the first book of that. And there was one more. Come on, which one is it? It's one of the High Republic ones. And then just in the next, basically the next less than 2 months, you have Star Wars Mace Windu, The Glass Abyss coming out, which is a new canon novel. You have Star Wars The Living Force, done by John Jackson Miller. He did the Obi-Wan Kenobi novel years ago. And you have I, Jedi being re-released as well with a new audiobook. The novel itself will be re-released in its original form. The audiobook will be a brand new unabridged version of it. And then you have Iron Fist from the X-Wing series also coming out with a brand new audiobook done for that too. So like they are clearly putting way more money into their audiobook production. They've hired a couple of people outside of Mark Thompson now too that are doing some of them. And kudos to them, because I think anybody who isn't giving them a chance is definitely missing out on some great material. And my advice to anybody, I think Audible is worth every penny. You pay $15 a month, you sign up, you get a free book, and then you pay $15 a month, which gives you various different perks, but you also get a free book every month. That adds up. Like I had basically 2 credits built up this morning. I was like, oh, well, I got new Star Wars material I could get. That's great. It was a happy accident. Like the way I was born.
Alrighty then. Well, that took a turn.
My wife is being very inappropriate while I'm trying to wrap up here.
All right, well, back to Game of the Week, Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. Again, in hindsight, probably should have picked one of the other ones that we'd have other future games for future segments that aren't just talking about the same thing over and over again. Because if there's one thing Lego Star Wars has done, it's continued to wrap up older titles into newer titles. And this one is the big one. It's the all-encompassing title. It is everything. It is the newest.
So you said something last week that I want to correct you on.
I did?
You said last week, I don't know if you meant to, that it's basically just all the other games plus so the Force Awakens had its own game. I don't think The Last Jedi did.
No, none of the other ones did.
But it's not that. They actually went back and redid the entire game, so the levels are not the exact same levels that you would have played in past games. And it's honestly, Zachary had it on the Xbox. It sucks because I think I only played it 2 or 3 times.
It's in Game Pass.
Is it on Game Pass now?
Yeah.
Well, fuck it. It wasn't when it came out.
No, it was not.
Don't you hate when that happens? Oh God!
Trust me, that happened. That happened to me with a couple of games I have, and I'm like, wait, you gonna tell me I could have played this for free? And after I spent $70 on this, son of a bitch.
Yeah, what's $100?
Don't even get me started on that right now, dude. Just $180 for a video game now? What the fuck?
Dude, I was all excited about that. I thought we were going to be playing WWE 2K23 on streams, the 3 of us. I'm all for getting 2K24, but I thought you were going to get 2K23 for free when you purchased 2K24. And I want to get 2K24 as well, but that's fucking insane. Like $180 for a new video game. What the hell is wrong with you people?
I mean, as bad as it is, I still end up doing it because I play my faction enough that I want those extra cards. And this year might not be as much because they are adding a player market this year, but otherwise it was fucking impossible to get good cards without buying like the deluxe edition, what have you. So I still might end up doing that, but I don't know. We'll see. I digress. Other topic, other day. Ow! Oh, thank you. All right, Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga. Yeah, I didn't. When I said that last week, I didn't mean that they were just direct remakes. I meant they encompassed all of the previous content, as far as content, not specific levels and what have you. But I digress. Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga. It's the newest title in the game. It features all 9 films. Game came out. Oh my goodness! 2 years ago. It's now featured in Game Pass over on the Xbox. It's a Lego Star Wars game. I love my Lego games. I play them all. I've played pretty much every Lego game that's ever come out since the Xbox 360, maybe. I want to say everything since like Lego Batman 2 I've played.
I played most of them too. There are some of the very few games that I actually end up 100%ing in terms of trophies and things like that. I did that with both Lego Harry Potter games. I did it with the Avenger, the Lego Avengers and Marvel and things like that. I did it with those as well. But yeah, Lego Star Wars. I remember now. Obviously, I haven't played the Skywalker Saga because you got me all excited thinking that was going to be this, just the same stuff from previous Lego games. But because I remember with the first Lego Star Wars, the controls just felt a little clunky, and there were just certain aspects of it that really kind of frustrated me. I mean, I beat it, but still, it was just frustrating. And as they went on, the controls got smoother, and they kind of took stuff from other Lego Star Wars games that they made and added it to really kind of smooth things out, give you better control. And ultimately, I always love some of the cheesy ass voice acting. They also, and especially when they get some of the character, they got Matt Lantner to go in and reprise Anakin and just redo some of the lines. I thought a lot of the comedic, stuff they throw in there for the kids it still makes me laugh. So
yeah, that's something that the Lego games have always done is the humor. There's no question about that. Especially like I love just idling with all the different characters and just seeing what sort of weird shenanigans they'll get to when you just idle with them. There's definitely some fun ones. And then I think Palpatine has a fun one. Sidious as well. Which, obviously you think like, oh, Sidious is Palpatine. Well, yes and no. But it's such a fun game to play with, others. Like, these are a game that, I'm sure Sean can attest to this as well. These are games you can play with the youngins. I played the Lego games with my nephews, when we'd have them over. And we'd just play the Lego games and have fun, just not doing anything. You know, like sure the story's there and the levels are there, but at the same time you can just meander through them and just generally have fun.
They are my go-to I'm gonna chill games because you can just kind of chill and dink around and not have to be a super tryhard.
Yeah. That's a big deal for me at this point, is not having to be a tryhard, because so many games are so tough that it's nice to just sit back and just
Exactly.
with a game.
So here's my pitch for a new Star Wars Lego game. Because even though, a lot of the levels are redone and there's different things in them and just different levels altogether, I always wanted them to do a non-Lego Star Wars game that took you through the events of the movie, or movies, pardon me. I guess when I wanted this, there had only been 6 movies, but have the decisions that you make alter the storyline we get in Star Wars, so that we get all new storylines. And obviously this would be a massively comprehensive game, similar to like Heavy Rain, and in the, obviously not as many, but so many different stories that can come, like a choose your own adventure Star Wars game. So it's probably stupid expensive to do that and expect the quality of like a Jedi Survivor. However, I do think Lego could approach something like that and do that far easier, especially when you look at like their Lego holiday special they did, and that Lego game would get me intrigued, because then we can go, let's start from Phantom Menace and let's see how we craft our Skywalker saga. I think there's money to be made there.
So essentially taking the DLC from like The Force Unleashed, where you got some of that alternative timeline stuff with Starkiller, and then add it to Lego Star Wars. I can get behind that.
It's definitely interesting, but if we wanted to talk about Lego Star Wars pitches, things we'd like to see, can I interest you in Lego Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic?
That would be really cool.
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
I think he would. I don't think he wants like the cartoony, comical stuff that to interfere with that
at all, right?
Yeah.
Like they brought. How many times, Johnny, have you and I been on stream over the years and referred to Knights of the Old Republic 2, despite it being cut short and rushed? Like the beginning of that game plays out like your first ever Star Wars horror story, and I don't want to lose that feeling.
But we could do it in a Lego way. Lego is fun. Lego can do spooky in a fun way.
Next, you're gonna pitch me Lego Halloween, and I'm gonna go, nah.
I'm not gonna pitch you that. Don't worry. All right. That's gonna wrap up Game of the Week for this week. Sean, I believe you have choice for next week.
Oh, I won't lie. Even though Randy definitely told me earlier that I was on the clock for next week. Clock with an L, people. Fuck. Anyways, I don't know where I want to go with this, because I haven't done Knights of the Old Republic 2 because I want to do something unique with that with the channel, and I'm just not sure what yet. So if I had to just like pull one game out of my ass, have I done the Phantom Menace video game that I'm playing through right now?
I think we did that a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I think we already did that one.
I think that's what led to you wanting to get it to stream it.
I think it was sort of like the same time it was announced we had that as Game of the Week, and then you played it.
And speaking of which, Dark Forces should be out soon. I think that was scheduled to be out soon. Man, I guys, I'm stumped here.
I mean, are there any other like Phantom Menace type games that you actually played a lot of?
Yeah, there was a fair amount, but
I'm not suggesting Jedi Power Battles. I'm
sorry, you want him to do Super Bombad Racing? What?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
The funny thing is, if they released Power Battles and you could play it like online with a friend, since it's a 2-player
That
game,
would be fun.
I would do it. I'd be yelling at my TV, but I would do it.
I'd do it too.
Yeah, come back to me. I will have it. It'll be the last thing we do before you say whatever you're saying to go off.
Okay, because you also said you had one more thing you wanted to do.
Oh, I just wanted to remind people that we have the Return of the Jedi watch along
that was
party or commentary for next week. So definitely tune into that. For those of you that were hoping to see it today, well,
blame Randy. Send all hate mail to Randy.
Blame Randy. All right, take it away.
I'm not gonna say that that quote and no offense, Randy, but that face. I can only think of Snitsky right now.
It wasn't my fault.
I'm not saying you have a very Snitsky face, but with the beard, you could pull it off for a Halloween costume. I'm just
Probably.
saying.
Poor baby Kita.
All right, guys, as we wrap this thing up, let's take it home. But before we do, just the last little bit of housekeeping stuff. And that is, if you've been with us long enough, trivia is the usual thing around here. February 20th is our next scheduled trivia matchup. We will tell you the competitors next week, so tune in to the show. As well, last week we announced a giveaway. It is still forthcoming. We will be giving away the Force Awakens Millennium Falcon. Subscribe to the channel, and you will be eligible to win. That's the new Legacy of Star Wars channel. You had that in 2 notes. That was awkward. I'm reading one and then go to the next one. I was like, wait, no, there's more to this. Legacy of Star Wars YouTube channel. Follow that and you'll be entered to win the Force Awakens Millennium Falcon. All right, guys, if you have liked and enjoyed the show, please go ahead, head down below, hit the like, hit the subscribe, slash that notification bell to help us defeat the evil algorithm. Leave a comment and tell us what you like, don't like, didn't like. And again, answer the yes or no question. Did you enjoy Carl Weathers as Grief Karga in Star Wars? Yes, no? Tell us why. In the comments down below, and check out our other stuff here on the channel, including but not limited to tonight in Haddonfield, Monday night, special episode this Wednesday if you're watching live. Otherwise, it'll be on the channel whenever you see it, featuring special guests, the author of Taking Shape, Dustin McNeil. I'm sure they have a lot of interesting questions to ask him, and a lot of stories I'm sure will be told, so I'm sure that'll be fun. Welcome to the Geek Side, Wednesday nights after Dynamite. Check out whatever random things Sean decides to play and stream on the channel. Currently, that is his episode 1 play along. That will happen really whenever he feels like it. And of course,
Friday,
probably Friday. Keep your eyes and ears open on our socials for the forthcoming debut of Legacy of Smallville, where Sean and Jade will rewatch Smallville and give you their thoughts, opinions on each episode. Occasionally, they'll be joined by special guests, including but not limited to myself and others. And of course, if you want to contribute on a higher level, head on over to our Patreon platform, where we have new tiers where you can get exclusive content at the $2, $5, $13, and $27 tier. $2 tier, you will get our Star Wars and Smallville additional content. $5, Cult of Thorn Patreon show. $13 is the Lampkin Lane tier. And of course, at the highest tier, $27, the Legacy tier, you will become an official sponsor here on the channel, and your name will be featured throughout on our sponsors page. So I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Catch us next week, our current sponsors. And you can, of course, catch us next week as we do, like Sean said, Return of the Jedi watch along. Randy, no jinxing us. We will do the Return of the Jedi watch along next week. We hope you guys come back and enjoy it and watch us and enjoy it, and we'll watch Return of the Jedi with you guys a week from today. We'll see you next week. I don't have a witty repartee ending this week, so we'll see you next week, and may the Force be with you all.